Hello everybody, thanks for tuning in. Alright, so this video is going to be a video of me showing or kind of demonstrating how I assembled the bolt latch hold open on my Komrad. A few people from my previous videos commented that they wanted to know how I did it, and so trying to figure out how to show you after I had already done it. I think I figured it out. Now, before we go any further, let me let you know that I am not a gunsmith. I am not a professional at this. I am just your everyday person that, like I said in one of my other videos, like to tinker on my own stuff. So that's another reason why when I was installing this, I did not do the video at the time, because I didn't know if I would get it right, if I would mess it up or anything like that. So I didn't do a video when I was installing this the very first time I installed it. But because people were asking how I installed it, I think I figured out a way that I can kind of walk you through how I installed it and help you get a better idea on how to install it. And install it at your own risk. I would suggest taking it to a gunsmith unless you're very comfortable with gunsmithing your own stuff. So let's get started then. So I mimicked the Sega. I have the Sega 12, and I was able to go off the Sega 12, which helped out a lot to getting this actually installed. So if you look right here, you'll see the Sega latch, how nicely done that is, machined perfectly for the latch to go through, not oversized or anything like that. When it comes to the Komrad, the one that I did, you'll see how it's oversized, it's not perfectly square or anything like that. And that's because I installed it with whatever tools that I had on hand and was able to do it with. So I'm going to break this down, take everything out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the hole with some black electrical tape, and that's going to represent as if it was not done in the first place. And then I'll kind of walk you through how I started it and how I finished it to get it to where it is, to where it actually, works to lock open and closes, just like the Sega does, where they lock open and close when you just pull it back. So let me go ahead and break this Komrad down and we can get started. Alright, so I took everything apart and I'll give you a better look. This is the piece that I installed in it. This is the bolt lever. So basically it holds on the bolt while it is locked to the rear if it's pushed up, and when you release it, this spring right here helps push it down and it'll let go of your bolt. So this is basically what the kit looks like. It comes with the lever, it comes with the spring, and for the spring I had to modify it a little bit to get it in there. I'll show you. I'm going to show you, but well, I'll show you what it kind of looks like if I can. But for the most part, the most important thing is, whoops, gotta take that out, is the hole. So I removed everything, and now you can see where I did my work with the Dremel and the grinder. See from the inside if you can. So this is it right here, where my finger is. How I lined this up is what I'm going to try and show you here. And like I said earlier, I'm going to take some tape and I'm going to cover this up with some electrical tape, and I'm going to walk you through how I started it to how I got to this point here. And you're going to have to use your imagination, but I'm going to try and walk you through it as best I can. So let me get everything set up and we'll get started again. Alright, so basically use your imagination. Pretend this tape is covering the whole thing, and this is how it originally looked. So basically what I ended up doing was, like I said, copying the Sega and the positioning of where this hole was going to be. What I used to mimic that and line it up was the back of the hole for your trigger pin, like the very end of it, and the trigger weld, the very back of that. You see where that little, I guess, notch is right there? So I didn't want to go past that, and I didn't want to go past this part right here on the trigger when I was cutting it out. So in order to line that up, I ended up using some tape. So some more tape. I'm actually gonna show that in here as well. So give me a sec. I'm gonna put the tape on there. All right, now I got my tape on. And let me apologize right now. This is like 7:30 in the morning, and I gotta go to work here soon. So this video ain't all that great, as in trying to make it look nice. But so this is how it came out. Basically, again, imagining yours does not have the hole in it yet. I took the piece of tape and I wrapped it around to where the edge of it, this edge right here, lined up with this hole right here on this side. And then this piece right here, this edge right here, was going to line up with the trigger housing inside of there. So you see how it lines up right there? And that was my marks for where I wanted to be in between. I did not want to go outside of these marks. And once I had that established and where I wanted to go, I took a center punch and tried to get it as lined up in the middle as possible, trying to stay away from the edge while not going too far over here. Again, if you see how thin mine's ended up versus, I don't know if you can see with the Sega, that has a pretty thick wall between the trigger weld and the latch itself. But again, that was because of the tools that I was using. But you don't want to break that plane. You don't want to take all this out. So I took a punch. I punched 1, 2, 3 little referencing spots for where I was going to drill. And I started out with a 1/16 inch drill bit, drilled my pilot hole, and I worked my way up to a 3/32. And once I got to the 3/32, that's where I stopped at and started using a grinding wheel to kind of, I'm going to go ahead and take this tape off actually. Sorry. Alright, so this grinding wheel was a little smaller. The other one that I had was a lot smaller than this. But what I was able to do was take it and start my holes where I wanted them to be straight, you know. And it also was cutting out, because you're obviously going to have 3 holes going across there. So I took the grinding wheel, grinded it out on each side to get it straight. And I didn't want to go past this little piece right here. See how thin that is? So using this helped me keep it in line. Unfortunately, like I said, I didn't have anything that was this thin to make it look that good. So I ended up using this piece right here, which is another Dremel bit. And it didn't work out all that well. I mean, it worked okay, but I was able to kind of Dremel down in it and get it back just enough and get it dremeled out. But the biggest thing I used was these are actually not grinding bits, but these are the cutting ones, or sorry, the sharpening bits. And the reason I used this is because it had the smallest point on it. And I think the grinding ones, they also have ones with a nice sharp point, but I didn't have it at the time, and the first one I had I ran out of, so I ended up having to use this to finish it off. But what I did was I took my Dremel and I slowly dremeled between the holes as they were in there, taking it down, taking it down, taking it down, until I finally got through and got the 3 extra little pieces that were in between each one of the holes out. And I finally took this and I cleaned it up as much as I could. Again, while not going past that and not going too far out here. One once you sort of think you have enough space, take your latch and stick it back in there. So I took my latch just to test it, and I stuck it in to see if it would go. And I did that every few, passes with the Dremel. And there was times where it wouldn't go. There was times where it started going okay. But once I finally got it to where it would go in and, move fairly easy, I took the pin for the hammer. Oops, sorry about not hitting the camera. And I stuck it back in. Actually, that's not the pin. Where is it? It is the pin. One of these is the pin. I'm not sure which one it is. That should work. Anywho, I took the pin for the hammer. I stuck it in just to line it up all the way through, of course. And then I pushed this back without the spring on it, and I put it in there to see if it would go in and would move while I had that pin in it. So once I was able to get it to where it moved smoothly right there, I put it all back together just to, if I can get it up. So yeah, once it started moving, I put it all back together, and it went in. Everything went together just fine, but the hammer spring was holding it up. So like I would push it up and it would stay up and it wouldn't come down. And I ended up having to bend the hammer spring a little bit just to get it to, because if you imagine it sitting inside of the gun itself, it's going to be sitting like that, and the spring is going to be down like so. And it was rubbing up against it, wouldn't allow it to move. So I ended up having to bend that to get it to where it would move easy. To get this spring in, I ended up having to bend this, which it makes it a lot easier when you bend it. At least for me anyways, you don't have to do that. You can do whatever you want. But you see how I bent it, and it sits much more flush inside of there, a little more tighter against the side. That helps it when you're actually trying to install this spring back underneath of this rail here. It gets to be a pain. But what did I use? I used a flathead screwdriver, which didn't really work so well, and then I ended up using a scribe. And every now and then, both of them would, push through this spring, and you would have to do it all over again. So you're going to fight with this, trying to get this spring in. But once you get that in, I'll put it back together real quick. I'll give you a closer look at what it looks like inside before I wrap this video up. So stand by. All right, so the trigger's in, the latch is, let's see if you can see that. I'm sorry about my lighting. Again, the latch is in. If you can see that, hopefully you can. It's easier if you take the trigger spring and tape it up or some kind of way to keep it from flying down. That's a bit of a pain. But again, once you get it in there, the latch will be sitting in there with the trigger pin, and it won't go nowhere. So, all right, now you're going to take your spring, this piece right here, and you're going to try to get it behind that lever, which is going to be a great pain. But the pin, or the spring, sorry, is going to go behind the lever and underneath of this. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Actually, I'm going to show you, I'm going to put it in real quick before I fully put it in, and I'm going to show you what it looks like, and then I'm going to put it the rest of the way in. Alright, so I don't think I showed very well when I was saying under the rail, but what I'm going to do is I'll try to point it out. I got my flashlight here so you can actually see. So you want the spring to kind of sit in there, but you really want the very edge of that spring on the front of your lever before you push it all the way down. And if you see where the spring is sitting underneath this rail, that's not exactly where it's supposed to go, but it's under the rail where you're going to need to start. Sorry about the noise upstairs. Let's see, how can I get this to hold? Let's see if I can actually... Alright, I'm going to figure out a way that I can use the flashlight to show you where the spring needs to go. Actually, you know what? Once I get it in there, I'll be able to point out a little better. So let me go ahead and install it the rest of the way. But if you're looking at it when you're doing it, underneath the latch, there's the part of the latch that kind of sits out right up underneath here. Let's see if I can show that. See that little edge right there? Right where the light is? That's where that spring really needs to be. It's all the way underneath of that in order for it to actually sit into place. So let me push it down in there, and then I'll show you again what it looks like in there. Alright, I got it in there. Looks like it's pretty smooth. So now you can get a better idea on where that spring needs to sit. All the way below that latch. Needs to hook in the front of it. And that little bend that I showed you on the spring earlier helps it to stay into place while you're trying to fight it to get in there. So let's put the rest of it together and show you that it works. Alright, so now I got the trigger back in and test out the lever just to make sure that it's still moving okay. Hopefully you can see that very well. And my lighting in here kind of sucks. Like I said, it's early and I didn't really have time to set up for this. So make sure it works. Once your trigger's in there, go ahead and take the tape or whatever is holding your trigger spring on there and drop it back down. Alright, so I got my hammer spring down and my trigger in, and you hear how it's binding up right there? And that's it getting caught on the hammer spring. So I'm going to have to adjust that. And that's what you're going to have to do. You may have to adjust it. You may not. I don't know. But I'm going to have to readjust that again so that it'll work smoothly. I mean, it's working right now fine. But that little bit of catch I want out of there. If I don't get it out, I'm not too worried about it. Like I said, it's still working. But it wasn't catching before. And I'm going to make it so it doesn't catch again. So there you go. I'm going to stop the video here. That's how you install, or at least that's how I installed the bolt latch on my Komrad 12. So, got any other questions? Hopefully I can answer them for you. Go ahead and leave them in the comments below. And thank you for watching. Y'all take care.